happening now. This is a live look in Edinburgh. Now a procession beginning, and you can see the late Her Majesty the Queen's coffin. What is expected today is what is being called a service of thanksgiving for the life of Her Majesty the Queen happening at St Giles Cathedral. Let's just listen in for a moment. You can see King Charles III, what's going to be happening. The King, as well as members of the royal family, will be taking part in this procession, and they will be making their way to the cathedral for some very solemn moments here. This is in the forecourt of the Palace of Holyroodhouse. And this will be the first time as the late Her Majesty the Queen will lie in rest at St Giles Cathedral, where the public will have their first opportunity to pay their respects. If you are just joining us now, this is a live look at the Palace of Holyroodhouse in Edinburgh. The late Her Majesty the Queen, the coffin carrying her, will be en route to St Giles Cathedral. You can see the royal family and a very solemn procession here. At St Giles Cathedral, there will be what's being called a service of thanksgiving. Many members of the public and the royal family also in attendance as well. Welcome back. You are watching Breakfast Television. What you're looking at here, a live look at the Palace of Holyroodhouse in Edinburgh. Queen Elizabeth II's, the late Queen Elizabeth II's coffin has now emerged, as you saw here. And this procession will then move to St Giles Cathedral for a service. There was a royal salute, rendition of God Save the King. This is a very short journey where they will join within St Giles Cathedral a number of dignitaries, of course, including King Charles and the Queen Consort and a number of the royal family as well. We'll bring in Dina and Sid, who are also watching these visuals Get your thoughts on what you're watching and taking in right now.
You know, it goes hand in hand to what we've seen over the last several days, Mel, and you know what this tone is going to be for obvious reasons. Holyrood Palace is the official residence of the highest-ranking monarch in Britain, the official home of the highest-ranking monarch. So the late Queen Elizabeth II knows that ground very, very well. It is not a long procession here, Mel, although at this pace, out of respect, obviously, it's going to take probably longer than it should, but this is the moment we're in, and it's completely tasteful. To see King Charles there, Dina, it is quite something, because, and I wanted to bring this up with Kinsey earlier, the visuals we're getting out of this, of King Charles III and Camilla walking around Buckingham Palace, and someone yelling 3 cheers for the king, hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray. There is a jovial side to this if you are a monarchist. However, the gear shifting that's going on here, not just from the public, but as human beings, I've been trying to wrap my head around this since last week. And I still, with every passing visual I see, I still don't know how, whether you're King Charles, whether you're the Prince of Wales, Prince William, whether you're Harry, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're one of the other 3 kids of Queen Elizabeth. I don't know how you do this as a human being. It's quite striking to me.
That's why King Charles, was heard saying, I dreaded this day. I dreaded this moment, even though this plan was in place, and you can see why, in terms of all the coordination that's needed to pull off what's going to be a week-long event leading up to the funeral 1 week from today. It's unbelievable. And here he is, having lost his mother and father within a 17-month span, and now taking over as king. It's enormous. And when you hear the word procession, I really was thinking about processing in the word procession, because it's in doing these things, having these rituals, and for this has been going on for a thousand years with the monarchy, is how people are able to absorb, to pay their final respects, to see that coffin one last time, to have it pass by. And I think that's what's helping a lot of the people who loved the Queen and followed her and were under her reign, a lot of them since they've been born. It helps to add that, I guess, the healing that comes during these times when you lose somebody. And she's been a part of a lot of people's lives for 70 years, reigning for 70 years.
No doubt. So the Queen's coffin is making its way slowly to St Giles Cathedral. There will be a ceremony, as Melanie Ng has mapped out all morning. Once that ceremony is done, there will be a viewing for the public that will last exactly 24 straight hours. I want to underline straight. They're not going to shut it down. They're not going home for the night and just leaving a TV feed up. If you are in Edinburgh or the surrounding areas of Scotland, this is the capital city of Scotland, you will have the opportunity at any point over the next 24 hours to pay your respects. And it's going to carry a theme that we're going to see here over the next little bit. Tomorrow, the Queen's casket will make its way down to Buckingham Palace. That will be an event, as you can imagine. Then on Wednesday, and I need people to circle Wednesday on their calendars, because obviously a week from today is the funeral. It's going to be a worldwide event. But Wednesday is the day they are going to have the Queen's casket move from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall. Westminster Hall, as Lisa LaFlamme has been talking about all morning, will be where the Queen will lie and stay for 4 days. That is going to be the longest procession really you see, because a week from now, the procession from Westminster Hall, which is basically around the Parliament buildings, to Westminster Abbey is not that long of a procession. It's going to be pretty private. The big public one is scheduled for Wednesday. And that's the one you kind of need to circle around your calendar, because if you remember 25 years ago, the moment where Princess Diana had her moment after her death with her family behind her, that's what we're kind of talking about here.